actually if I say what I'm
Well,
thinking
that's why.
back.
Hold on.
I want to see him held accountable, at least
Trump's
like
reopening. Okay, Trump's reopening the investigation. South Carolina is charging fucking Fauci. Florida's opening up a new investigation against Fauci. It's coming, bro. He's only been in office for a month, dude.
Great. Cool. So him and all of his subordinates and all the people in the decision making of this not just, I don't want one guy. I know I said Fauci, but like I'm just sort of this. It would mean otherwise, because if it's just Fauci, man, it could just be a mock trial essentially, right? So because they'll always choose the figurehead and say, oh well, we solved the problem. Now we get rid of the bad guys. Like,
sure, bro. I mean, we're looking for the Black Pope to be in handcuffs and on fucking CNN. I get it, but the fucking thing is before all that fucking magic can happen, right? They're first going to make legislation that's going to say they can't fucking mandate you to go to school. Oh, and then I was going to bring up something else right now too. There's and then what the fuck was it? Dude, we're doing nothing but winning, man. I was just thinking of another example of it. I don't know how, like, what's gonna be. It's like you guys are gonna be like, I don't like Donald Trump because he didn't come to my house and suck my dick. Therefore, I can't really work. I can't get on board. That's what I'm hearing, dude.
I want to see proof of viruses like in contagion actually inside a law court. That's what I'd like to see.
Right, I want
to see them
Trump
actually
on my doormat, and until then, fucking, it's just never gonna. He still works for the Illuminati, as far as I'm concerned. Like,
are you gay and into old men?
Well, I'm saying, like, shit, dude. I mean, like, everyone's making it sound like he's got to come to your doorstep and suck your dick for to be believable. I don't know, man. What more do you fucking want than, like, he just fucking issued that fucking no kids don't have to take a vaccine and they can go to school if they didn't take it. That's fucking
I'm hard
huge.
to please, Issa. I'm really hard to please.
Yeah, I get it. No, I get
it. But they created that in the first place. Problem, reaction, solution. They created the vaccine BS, and now they bring in their Trump figure to then sway it a little bit to fool people, making them think that he's doing something good. But they would have just done it anyways after the kind of Biden era. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would just all be part of that plan.
Right. And I mean, I look at it like, sure, if you just can't ever win, then sure. But like, I'm looking at it like, as far as my personal life goes, like, I'm like, these policies will directly affect my life. Like this, and this is the first time a political figure has ever addressed these issues in history, really. And fucking, and I just think, like, granted, like, I mean, it is diplomacy, so not everybody's gonna win. It's like I was talking with Lion the other day about the Hegelian dialectic. What came first, right? Let me ask you, Gio, since everyone's so fucking scared of the Hegelian dialectic, okay? What came first, the Hegelian dialectic? Or like a man and his wife coming to a compromise over a disagreement?
Well, certainly the former or the latter.
Right. So to label everything Hegelian dialectic because it's diplomacy is also like, I mean, like, it's just like the compromise is always going to be there. Labeling it a Hegelian dialectic doesn't make sense.
The Hegelian dialectic, let me just respond to that real quick because it was to me. Let me just say, like, the Hegelian dialectic is a particular, thing based on Hegel and all that. So that's like a dude who lived and who, whatever, that's him. So, but it's just been used for that. But I mean, the problem, reaction, solution pattern, even before Hegel ever lived, would have still been done by every criminal out there. You do a pickpocket scheme and whatever it may be, you try to make it look, all the stuff that people do, they create maybe they have one of their guys that creates chaos and then they're like, oh, there's chaos, and everyone's running around, and all of a sudden the pickpocket goes around and he's swiping wallets while everyone's chaos. It's a perfect example of like problem, reaction, solution. So that pattern has been going on for a very long time in terms of criminals and how they do stuff. So
right, but we weren't. But if you weren't affected by the jabs or nothing, then like it's like and you stayed away from it, and they had to end all the mandates. And now Trump says that Trump says that you don't have to vaccinate your kids to go to school like that. I mean, those are steps in the right direction.
But that would be, in my opinion, though, that would be the deception, is to get people thinking, wow, this Trump guy is really doing good now, to get people back into supporting the whole system.
Issa, the point
is... the last thing I want to say, and then just the other thing real quick, is that do you really think the Illuminati, as it were, just to use that name as a funny way, do you really think that they would allow the president of the United States, the one who publishes the WGS 84, which is the coordinate system for the globe, by the way, the U.S. government, are the ones who the National Geospatial Geospatial Intelligence Agency, which is like a sister to the CIA and the FBI, sister intelligence agency. They're the ones that publish the globe Earth. Do you think that whole thing is going to just let Trump come in there and just blow their whole shit open and do a bunch of stuff against their plan?
I don't think they have authority to stop it right now. And I've told you about that, my 70-year contract theories and shit. That's all over. This is a whole new ballgame. They don't have the jurisdiction that they used to have, man. And I'm telling you, this is the it just seems like that's what it is to me, man. And I get that it's like, and then on a hyper level, like the idea that it's astrotheology and they have to adjust for a new era. I just think that is more logical to me. I mean, I get the concerns, but we're talking about ending vaccine mandates, man. Like they've never conceded these points. We're up to 72 vaccines, bro. I want to see the conversation get into the 72 vaccine things, and then we can
you got one
say
vaccine off the schedule and you're celebrating. It's kind of
I'm gonna take the win, bro. Dude, you fucking losers just can't take a W. It's like this is what sets the precedent for ending all the other vaccines, man.
Is a mandate when two men go to the movies together?
Only if you're flat earthers.
Hey, Gio, what do you call a Hoover gang member with money in his sock? Cryptocurrency.
All right.
Well, that's a good one. Actually, that's funny. Yeah. What do you call?
So, dude, this is just a contraction. They expressed their full power during the COVID era. They put Biden. They allowed Trump to sort of take the hit as far as where did the virus come from? Oh, it came under Trump's sort of administration, and all this chaos broke loose, and then they had Biden come in, and it's all this the media was safe and secure.
Did you ever see the videos?
I get where you're coming from, Issa. I get where you're coming from, but there is a whole other side of your the liberal left that is just absolutely kind of. They could actually implode the entire thing. They've already lost faith in the.
What's weird too is think of the hypocrisy. Think of every turn Trump has been faced with this complete and utter hypocrisy, right? When Trump came out with the vaccine, there's literally footage of these fucking Hollywood types saying, "I'm never going to take Trump's vaccine." No. And then as soon as Biden won, it was like, "Oh my God, everyone take the vaccine, and if you don't take it, you're anti-science." It's just weird. All of these things were
exactly
exposés on the hypocrisy of that cult.
But Trump still recommended that you take it, right? Like I specifically saw footage of him up doing speeches and stuff, saying, "Oh, the vaccines are great," and then everyone there was a couple of boos in the crowd, and he says, "Oh, but you got your rights. You got the right to choose," and then the conversation just goes on.
Yeah, I don't know. It's to me, it's like being mad at an FBI guy who's going to catch a bunch of drug dealers. And you're like, "Hey, he was on the street last week selling yay. What the fuck?" And it's like, and now he's testifying against these people because, he had to fucking pretend like he was a drug dealer so he could catch him when he did this, that, and the other thing. And they're like,
so he's an actor. You admit he's an actor then? He's pretending in some cases in the way that it suits. I get it, man, but I just say he's acting.
Is diplomacy not acting? Is
and this is just a very sophisticated it's a form of crescendo and the arcs and flow of a storyline. Yeah, and they're weaving the storyline. And we're just following it. And some people are going to jump off and say, "Oh, this is the savior," because they're going to provide the savior to us.
How would you take out a 10,000-year-old death cult? You're just going to walk up in the place and be like, "Hey, everybody, we're going to get rid of a 10,000-year-old death cult, everybody. Okay, who's a member of the cult? Let's get them."
I'd say that once the cult sort of starts, the cult's got to show its hands, okay? The cult's got to show its hands and reveal itself. The cult revealed itself, and now it has to go under the pretense that it's now going to be under control. The deep state's going to get uprooted, drain the swamp, all that sort of stuff. That's the pretense. In the meantime, they're just business as normal, dude. Nothing's gonna change. I fucking hate that.
It really fucking seems like that. Let me tell you.
Maybe with that attitude, but there was a time where slavery was literally lining the pockets of politicians. But thanks thankfully there were brave Christians who took it to Parliament, and that's what it appears that many Christians appear to be doing today.
Well, okay, so the proposition within that is, though, that the only reason they got rid of the slave trade is because they came up with a new sophisticated means of, like, sort of, like the American Reserve banking system. So they basically didn't want slaves anymore because it didn't suit their new economic system they were bringing forth into the world.
Yeah, you know what's wild?
Then they set off with the pretense of a war based on that, in order to create the social tension and then benefit from, because they knew who was going to win at the end. They knew.
Yeah, you know what's a wild stat? You know what's a wild stat? America, our first black elected representatives, right, was like our first one was 1641 over in the States, or in the, on this continent. In England, let me ask somebody, when was the first elected black official in England?
Good question. I know they outlawed slavery in England before the United States, but
1987.
Yeah.
So the first black representative, right, in America was back at least in the 1800s, in the modern, kind of breakup of thing, right? It took England up to 1987 to fucking, and Italy was 2010. So America has been the cutting edge of fucking, like, breaking the back of the fucking system.
Yeah, and
everyone else who comes around, even like when English people or any other country is going to talk shit about American racism and this stuff, just remind them, when was the fucking first time you guys elected somebody in office that was black?
Dabbling in racism here.
We've been battling fucking this shit forever, dude.
Racism,
America's on the front line of it, dog.
No, it was more.
They created racism to create the social tension required for their dialectic that they do.
Wah, wah, wah. Cry about it. Slavery existed long before fucking the United States existed, dude.
I know that, for sure.
Yeah. And thankfully, it was Christians that ended slavery in the UK. William Wilberforce. And
man.
What an epic story. And they used music back in the day, too, because his pastor wrote the song Amazing Grace. And imagine singing that to your friends. Wow.
Well, how righteous right now. All I'm saying, man, is like, I get it. Like, everyone's doom and doomer and it's getting worse.
Sure.
But, like, we're getting fucking. We just got rid of the COVID vaccine mandated for kids. That's fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I think that's just an indication of how extreme they actually went to when, like, they were basically applying medications that just actually had no efficacy or proof of necessity in any sort of scientific endeavor. And then they pull that back. And we celebrate when it actually is more indicative of how bad the problem was in the first place.
Well, I think you guys, I mean, like, over there in, like, New Zealand and Australia, like, you motherfuckers got the hammer put on your ass. You know what I mean? Like, they were kicking the shit out of you guys, fucking locking everybody up in camps if you didn't get the shit and fucking all the rest of it. Like, you know what I mean? I would hope you guys get some politicians in power that can get you out of the WHO like we are now, and, and limit the fucking vaccine mandates for you guys. You know what I mean? Because that's what's happening for us. And I'm fucking here for it, man. I'm proud of that shit, dude. Like, you guys don't have that yet. I don't hear nobody talking about COVID nothing with fucking what the fuck your own countries have done to yourselves. America's the motherfucking shit. Like, we're the motherfuckers that are saying, no, I don't think so. No, we're not doing that. You know what I mean? Like, and I know a lot of proud. Big up to all the rebels out there too, because there's fucking. I can imagine.
Medications come from America. I'm actually sort of sitting here kind of a little bit like, fuck, this alliance with America is causing a lot of dastardly problems. Not that I can say anything about it, like we're doing it in the US.
Old America, though.
The problem came out of America, essentially. Not to say that means anything, but
it came out of China. Came out of China. And it was paid for by fucking a bunch of people that were paid for by China. You know what I mean? So it wasn't American shit. It's like, we get, or America gets the blame, but I think we're untying these knots of the globalists right now, which is, like I said, like, of course, like, it's like when SC comes in and complains about American politics. It's like, I just feel like, hey, 2015 needed its arguments back, because this is like, the landscape has completely fucking changed, man. I don't know. I mean, if anyone doesn't get it, it really doesn't matter if anyone understands it. It's just what it is. But I think, like, we're taking wins, man. Let's cherish them, man.
I don't think this notion of nation states and analyzing what they do bureaucratically actually really kind of means anything, right? I mean, the Russians work together in space at the same time as pretend to have a fight. Well, I mean, it's probably actually people dying there. Real shit going on in Ukraine, but they pump all the money into it. So there's always this pretense of a false enemy that we're expected to sort of support one side or the other, whether it be Gaza or Israel. I don't know, man. They're all working together. It's all. That's why I can't here to these chats, listen to you guys all talk as individuals. I don't really like to think in these sort of nation states and countries. I like Australia. I don't really want to go anywhere else, but I don't really sort of think in the terms of nationality and patriotism. I think it's all pretty silly.
Yep, the Illuminati lust for power. Satan offers power. So, Rixky, in your opinion, in the Illuminati, let's take the Freemasons for example. Do you believe that there are two factions within the Freemason?
There's many factions.
Okay, supposedly.
Code theory, as they say.
Yeah, supposedly there's those who choose to operate under war, and then those are those who operate under the light, which would be from the creator. Have you ever heard that theory?
Just the white hats versus the black hats or something.
Something like that. Like in Freemasonry, you'll see the duality, the white and black checkered floor. So for a long time, the war.
That duality is just them playing both sides rather than sort of two factions within a centralized thing called the Illuminati. Maybe more likely that the Illuminati play both sides. It's a duality that they're sort of forcing upon the world.
Do you think there could have been a time where such an organization could be used for good?
No.
No, not okay. So, okay, interesting.
Not in this world, I don't think. I think this idea of like councils and Jedi's, sort of what like you see in Star Wars and stuff. It would seem that power corrupts, and it corrupts absolutely. Whatever this world is, I don't know, but the institutions and power seem to always lead to this sort of fall. Thus, I don't know.
We definitely
you're born into a family, into a community, but at the end of the day, you are an individual. And I think kind of life seems to be about working that out, how you become like individuated from the community.
Yeah, community, definitely. Most communities require emergency services. So how would you have industries that include emergency services operate in the best, most ideal manner? Would you include rules?
I wouldn't propose that I'd have a solution to that necessarily. I just acknowledge that there's a problem.
Okay, what's the problem?
So beyond that, I mean, like anarcho-capitalism, where you want to go from here? Like,
what do you think? Let's try to find the root of the problem, in your opinion. What's the main problem? Lies? Corruption? Or...
What is the main problem,
I know, like there's always going to be a root. Maybe everyone's going to have their own, but I believe there would be a root.
It's comfort and habituation. I think we are sort of trying towards comfort, although they're putting shit in your food and in your water that makes you want to sort of be more sedentary anyway. So
yeah, apathy is a huge problem, man. You're right. We got comfortable, but the problem is, it's so true. While we're comfortable, lying in a comfortable bed, there's someone out there under slavery right now.
This is true. I haven't got the worst of all. I mean, I'm kind of feeling like, I'm pretty lucky actually to even engage in topics like this in some cases.
Right? Absolutely. Sometimes I think, wow, why me? Why do I have this bed? Why me? I don't deserve this bed. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, bro, come on. Chill.
I know. I'm just saying, what an amazing creator. But that's what I'm saying. The Bible says we can't get too comfortable because there's a lot of people counting on us. There's a spiritual battle going on, and you're right, man. There's these people, the Illuminati, who are literally working day by day to get their final plan in place, which is ultimate control. Right now, they're dealing with flat earthers and truth whistleblowers and the Christians. But there's definitely
What's cool is like flat earth has been like the fucking it's been the distraction. You know what I mean? Like it's been the distraction, which is the best part about it. Like flat earth is like all of these like, you know, cosmologitards have been dealing and arguing and struggling with flat earth, while like Operation Northwoods, 9/11, vaccine injury, fucking all of this shit has just swept into the fucking mass consciousness, while all these tards are out here fighting and arguing about flat earth. You know, it's fucking pretty sweet. And like flat earth is still undefeated. You know what I mean? Like, still hanging out on the outskirts like, yeah, what up, bitch? You know what I mean? Like, fucking, I don't know, man. I feel like we're winning, dude. I just can't help but feel like that. I feel like we got like a flat earth president or some shit. And the flat earthers don't understand the game of diplomacy. You know?
Yeah,
you're making
especially
a good point.
in the world with international
I
treaties. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Just quickly, what was it? I do remember. I was thinking before, even before you said that, Issa, was it? There's that iRobot. If you're familiar with that TV series that was on, and I like the general thrust of it. I didn't even watch all of it, man, but I watched enough of it. The concept was that he was trying to press zero essentially on all the bank accounts and all the banks in the.
You know.
Yeah,
you're making a good
especially
point.
in the world with international treaties. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Just quickly, what was it? I do remember. I was thinking before, even before you said that, Issa, was it? There's that iRobot. If you're familiar with that TV series that was on, and I like the general thrust of it. I didn't even watch all of it, man, but I watched enough of it. The concept was that he was trying to press zero essentially on all the bank accounts and all the banks in the world, I think, to bring everything back to a naught point. And I was even asking myself while you guys were talking, it's like, would I press that zero button? Would the chaos, would you rip the Band-Aid off like that to solve the problem? Reset everyone back to naught? Would the chaos that would ensue, would that be morally acceptable? I don't know. mean, God kind of did it, didn't he, with the flood? So I don't know. Is that sort of morally acceptable? What do you guys think?
Well, I think that's the thing. Is that it's so much diplomacy involved. Do you know what I mean? It's like honestly, like it's like I would hope, or I don't know, like my stance on the whole, like let's say flat Earth, even it's like the idea that like flat Earth is for the sophisticated. It's for like those of us who aren't going to be troubled uh, too much by by losing the globe. But like you live in a world where there aren't like as many sophisticated people as can handle this shit. You know what I mean? Like, like have mercy on these brothers that are coming up in the ranks. They're like, what do you mean they lost the telemetry data? You know what I mean? like they can't handle it, man. like, these people can't handle. So like the globe can't go anywhere. Like nothing's going anywhere. It's just about our perception of it and holding our brothers and sisters' hands as they walk into the nightmare scape that we've come to think is pretty fun. You know what I mean? It's like some people need that, like, when you go bowling, man, some people need those little guide things in the fucking gutter, and you don't want to take them away too soon. And I just think, like, in a lot of ways, like people clinging to the fanaticism of the globe has been great for all the other conspiracies because these bastards have lost track of what they were actually initially trying to hide. And you see
But
it, man. They're fucking spiraling out of control right now, dude. Like all the
if
like,
if
you
if
know.
flat Earth ever goes mainstream, Isa, like I don't know about you, but I mean, like there's a problem here. If it had like a new perspective sort of thing as
Right.
well, that he mentioned is like we don't actually want this thing to go to the
Well, new
masses.
perspective
Like
gets
it,
that's yeah.
yeah.
Like the idea that fucking like the globe is, or I forget what it's like. There was a time when tyrannical governments could used flat Earth as part of their banner of tyranny. You know what I mean? Like, governments that burned witches and shit. You know what I mean? Like, they were very religious hearted and fucking whatever. And then along came a bunch of people who said, no, fuck you. You're not going to do what, you know what I mean? What, whatever, some Rage Against the Machine shit. I won't do
Well,
what
there's
you tell
scientific
me.
rationalism that came about that apparently like solved the issue of the burning of the witches, though. So see how
Well,
they
no,
created
that's
a
what I'm
problem
trying
and
to
then they
say
told
then.
us the solution of scientism. Like it's
Well,
this
no.
big
It's a
ale.
balance,
All we
though.
go.
It's a balance.
Sure.
Remember, it's all the teachings talk about balance. So, like, it's the idea that you could, like it took a bunch of radical atheists or whatever you wanted to call themselves, like to combat against the tyranny of theism, which any one of us would have probably been a part of. We'd have been arguing about sphericity and Eratosthenes and whatever just to fight against the tyranny of the church, if that were the case, maybe. But at the same time, it's now gone so far into that realm of materialistic, nihilistic, whatever, that it's got to be brought back home in flat earth, and the cosmology is always going to be able to do that because you can't explain these things, just like you can't, like if someone comes and tries to tell me about fucking outer space and the rest of it, it's like trying to come up and tell me that you're going to get these many angels in heaven and this is what it looks like and this is where it is. Like, you don't fucking know. And like anyone who's going to come and try to tell you that shit is a huckster. And I don't care if you're trying to talk about the weight of Polaris or fucking how many angels are up circling the heaven. You know what I mean? I just don't want to hear it.
Especially if it goes against common sense and they lack the
Right.
proper evidence.
Well, that's what always fucking troubled me. Honestly, it's like what troubles me in my dialogue with like Christians and like even this, spiritually. I'm curious about the question is the validity of a virgin birth. Because to me, it seems like there's almost like a wink and a nod from the ancestors of like, hey, look at this story as an analogy, because no one's actually retarded enough to think that there'd be a fucking virgin birth. You know what I mean? So it's like this, like again, like where does the analogy end? What illusion is too sacred to be broken?
Well, Yeah, so the Gnostics, they refer to themselves as the sons of light. I was like taking notes for this podcast that this guy's referring to, and it just kind of made me think about the Son of God, essentially. They worship the sun, the Gnostics basically do. So they refer like this Lucifer is the light bringer. The sun. So basically for them, the sun is the symbol. I don't know, right here. The sun is the symbol for the real God behind the false creator God. So they use this like the symbology of the light as a sort of like a representation of their true God behind them. And then you've got this guy that comes from immaculate conception down from the God creator, and it's called the Son of God. There's something going on linguistically there that is just sort of I don't know. Then I start thinking about Shakespeare and all this sort of spell casting that goes on. I haven't sort of fully
Have you read
wrapped my
Morals
mind
and
around this
Dogma?
conception, but something's going on. What's that?
Have you read Morals and Dogma?
No.
Oh man.
Dogma.
Okay, that's your dude. Morals and Dogma by Albert Pike.
Yep. Cool.
I know Albert Pike's like everyone kind of. It's interesting with Albert Pike, and I used to quote it and think it was legit. But there's a saying that he said allegedly about how this world war will use the Christians against the whatevers and the. I don't know if that's a legit quote about Albert Pike too. He's an interesting character. Anyway, in Morals and Dogma, the whole Luciferian concept, which is so fascinating, is the idea that the adept is sitting there learning how to fight, and he's fighting Lucifer, or and like he's
The
fighting
adept.
the adversary, yeah, the adept, like the initiate,
Okay.
and like and the idea is that he's fighting this enemy. You know what I mean? And that like the enemy always strikes him down and he always loses, but he always has to keep coming back to fight this enemy. And then one day he finally fucking strikes a blow on the enemy and destroys it. And the enemy actually turns into the Christ, which they call, they get it's like a weird dynamic of how they look at Christ and Lucifer. It's weird how you have
Yeah.
like Christopher is the name, you know what I mean? Which is a weird one, right?
Yeah, well, it's the
So,
anointed one as well, isn't it?
so
So
like,
the
but that
light bringer.
idea of like, and the idea is that it's like, it's through the adversary, i.e. Satan or whatever you will, that it is in fighting that you become, oh yeah. And then so when the adept strikes down the enemy and it turns into the Christ, he says to the adept, okay, now you're ready to come do the work. You know what I mean? So it's like it's this constant like shaping of you in getting wrecked by kind of like life in order to create the character needed to actually join on the battlefield of knowledge or whatever you want to look at it as. You know what I mean? And it's like this just interesting perspective. But to me, that's allegorically trying to break down some psychological necessity of mankind to understand. Not necessarily like the real world depiction of like what kind of sandals was Jesus wearing when he was on the mount. You know what I mean? Like it's like, that's
Yeah.
where I think we can lose touch. Not that, and only God knows the mysteries of God. I don't know if the Christ, I don't know. And I think God gave me enough self-respect to have to admit that. You know what I mean? And like it's like this intellect. We've gone the wild spiritual nature of fucking Christianity and all the rest of it, and then the wild fucking bullshit about space and cosmology. Like all of those things need to be like, if it's not useful, it needs to be discarded. Like kind of a thing. And I think what's so cool is we're coming into a time where our collective consciousness has been neutered by the moon landing, and flat earth is rejuvenating that whole shit and breathing fresh air into these ideas that we crave. And these bastards tried to take away the most interesting conversation of mankind throughout history. Like,
They
fuck
did.
them for that, dude. You tried to
They
take
did.
away this conversation from us? You fuckheads. We want to argue about Aristophanes for fucking hours. We want to fucking argue about the fucking, whether they're lights in the sky or whatever. And now these bastards have some bullshit like Himawari they can point to and all this mythology. And I just think, like, here we are still rejuvenating the conversation, holding down the front line. Meanwhile, these bastards are so busy, all the other conspiracies are getting through the back door. It's fucking brilliant, man. Forgive me, I never shut up, man. I just fucking, I don't know. It's so intriguing.
The remarkable thing to me is that they seem to have the ability to control, the beyond our eyes. What we see like little specks of light in the sky, and I mean, obviously, there's a lot of sort of imposition of images through the TV screen that sort of facilitates the imagination. But they were obviously doing it a little bit before the TV screen too, though it apparently wasn't as convincing back then. And I've seen those videos; they look pretty sus. It is certainly getting more convincing, though, it would seem.
Oh yeah.
But then, like, the whole logical structure of how the society is built and the values that it has, I mean, that's where I was like looking at it going, something's wrong here. So I ended up in these little hollows.